We're going to install a starter on a lawn tractor.
We'll go in reverse order. Make sure these ground points are where the starter is going to touch are very clean, because this is actually how the starter gets its ground.
It draws its ground through the foot of the starter into the engine block itself. Thread the bolts in as far as they'll go by hand. You don't want to strip anything in the aluminum block. We'll tighten up all the bolts. We'll take the positive lead from the solenoid and put it onto the starter. We'll tighten up the lugs. It is possible that there may need to be some adjustments, like the starter coming out, so everything will engage properly. We'll apply power to the starter. The gear goes in, but it does not go back, so it doesn't disengage, so we're too tight. We'll pull the bolt out and get some shims. We'll grab a couple washers, remove the bolts from the starter, add a shim. We'll add a shim to both sides. Put it back on and tighten it up. Move it in by hand, and it looks a little bit loose this time. With everything loosened up, it still looks a little bit loose. It needs to come a little closer. We also want to make sure that we don't crimp the wires for the alternator. It's even possible for the gears to be slightly different. These gears may look similar, but one is a 16 tooth and one is a 15 tooth, which is a big difference. We'll put the old gear back on the new starter. Put the cap back on and the snap ring. We'll spread the retention ring apart a little bit. We'll slip it in place and squeeze it back together. We've got the old gear on the new starter. Now we're reassembled, ready to go. Now we'll check the gear. Now that looks a lot more natural. Now when we apply power, everything works as it should.